I'm a 60-year-old lawyer who was raised by a lawyer, and I wasn't always a Christian. I am now. My change came rather suddenly back in 2006. And since that time, I've had a lot of time to think, and I've listened to all the debates. I've made those arguments myself that atheists and agnostics make about morality, for example. Morality is just something we make up along the way that we all agree on. I don't believe that anymore. In fact, I know it's not true. The word believe's not a strong enough word. I know it's not true. There's a big fallacy in that. And so I wrote something to myself on it, which I'm going to share with you now. Learn from me. Matthew 11:29. Learn from me. Learn? God asked us to learn? But I thought Christianity was blind, ignorant faith. But God must be learned, says the Bible, just like physics must be learned. No one questions if physics is true. So if physics is inherently true but must be learned, can spiritual truth also be inherently true but also must be learned? I never took the time to learn about either physics or God. I took the easy way out and learned to be a professional arguer, that is, a lawyer. I did it enough growing up with my father. It was easy just to keep swimming with the current than change myself. Thankfully for me then, lawyering was and still is a profession which doesn't require the truth of God or physics, only the ability to argue one side or the other. It was always easier to argue against the Bible than read its 900 pages. It was easier to dismiss it and argue like Nietzsche that God was dead than to admit he was alive and would judge me. It's easy to debone the Bible, rob it of any meat, take from it the water and spirit as the faithful would call it, and then shove its dry bones down the throats of the faithful hoping they choke on it. Try as I would, they never did, but that didn't stop me from trying. I was a bit of a sadist in that, a verbal bully with a tie hiding behind a legal education that didn't require me to read the Bible or to espouse the truth, only to zealously argue for my client against it. But when I argued God was dead, who was my client? Who was I so zealously representing? When I argued God didn't exist, I argued for nothing, for a universe without love or morals. I argued that nothing existed, that no client existed, that I was alone. And I had unwittingly argued myself into the wrong side of history and was marching now in the ranks of Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Nero, and many others, demanding that we burn a Bible that taught 10 laws to life and not Darwin's law, survival of the fittest. Darwin and his ilk teach survival of the fittest, that to the victor go the spoils, that the end justifies the means. But God teaches the only meaning is in the means by which we live, loving our fellow man, not taking advantage of him. I could see Darwin standing in stark contrast to Lady Liberty, who, like Christ, says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I left my lamp beside the golden door." Her words always rang true to me and confronted atheism on the front lines. So I finally opened that 900-page book to examine if it was true. Did I have a soul which unconsciously reverberated to the Word of God? How sorry I am now for having ever spewed atheism from the pulpit of ignorance. All those years I was arguing for injustice, not justice. I was arguing against Lady Liberty, not for her. And if I'd ever thought I was swimming in worldly injustice now, my soul was destined to drown in an eternal justice later, but one which I chose, for I represented no one but myself. There would be no second chance to follow the light at the end of the tunnel of my life, for the end was determined now in the means by which I lived. I was in the tunnel. I could see the light. I just didn't want to follow it. Do I have all the answers? No. But neither does physics, yet it's true. And so is the truth of God. I now sit on my hard wooden pew of life, learning truth one painful step at a time, one page at a time, learning from a teacher who still hangs on the cross that Darwin pinned him to, but a teacher who refuses to die at the hands of Darwin because he is not man, but an eternal truth that cannot die, who breathed life into man, and who still breathes life in us today, who says, "Forgive Chris, me. He did not know for he was what he was doing." A God who continues to anguish at our struggle with ourselves and within ourselves. His yoke is easy, our way is hard. listen to his words, and learn.